Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank you for being such a pleasant and non-abusive audience so far. Anyway, I mean, it could. I know I've spoken too soon. It could go wrong. And normally I stand up to speak, but I feel like I've been told to stick very close to this microphone, so I'm not going to do that. But if I wave my arms about, sorry for that. So the question is, what can Labour do for women and girls? And I do want to start by thanking Labour Women's Declaration and all its supporters. I mean, Labour Women's Declaration's relentless refusal to be shut down or shut up has been nothing short of inspirational. So I'm really delighted to be here. I'm really proud to know many of the women involved, and I am really proud to be a Labour Women's Declaration signatory. The impact your work has had on Labour and its policy is self-evident. I have absolutely no doubt that you will continue to push the party in the right direction. But it really shouldn't have been a struggle, and other speakers have talked about this already. You can't believe how hard it has been to try and get this argument heard and to be able to have our voices heard. Women are the backbone of this party. We are its history and we are its future. Given our history in the movement, it is absolutely astonishing that our voices have been silenced, misrepresented, traduced and ignored for so long. But as we all know, this kind of sexism and misogyny is not, it's age-old. It's not just limited to the Labour Party. Nearly every political and civil organisation in this country is culpable in the silencing of women and the dismissal of our concerns. But because it is treatment that women are used to, like I say, it's age-old, we have also become pretty adept at challenging it. Labour Women's Declaration, the latest in a long line of women who have refused to be put down and who have persisted in our organising. Struggle is in the DNA of women and we will not be kept down. So my plea really to everyone, not just the leadership or the official representatives or the councillors or the MPs, but to everybody within the Labour Party, is to stop fighting against us and start working with us. Because as you have seen, women will organise and we are relentless where our rights are concerned. These are qualities that Labour needs to harness, not oppose. But be clear, we will organise regardless. Many of the gains this movement has won for women have been initiated by women ourselves through grassroots organising and as part of our daily lives. I'm going to give just a couple of examples from my kind of own experience, and you will think of others for yourself, to illustrate what I mean by this, and I hope by way of inspiration. So the first example is when the government and the EHRC and other organisations tasked with providing it has still failed to produce guidance on sex and gender for teachers, for schools. A group of teachers got together to produce this guidance. I'm just going to hold it up, but there are copies on the table outside. It's called A Teacher's Guide to Sex and Gender, and it's exactly what the government should have produced but has failed to. Now, the teachers that produce this guidance work in different phases across the UK, and they've got a collective experience of decades. The guidance has been researched and developed in evenings and at weekends, and the cost of publishing these hard copies and establishing a website have been funded by the women themselves. It's a document based in reality and with a solid understanding of safeguarding and the needs of children, and I really do commend it to you. Now, while it's shameful that these women have had to produce and fund the publication of this document on top of their day jobs, which I can say as a teacher, it's a pretty pressured job. It's actually also inspiring because these women are writing from experience and insight, and that is experience and insight that many policy advisors and politicians just don't have. So please do pick up a copy later. The second thing I want to talk about is we are talking about Labour, but Labour is also part of a much bigger Labour movement. And I think it would be remiss not to talk about trade unions and the workplace in a meeting of this kind. I know how badly many women feel let down by their trade unions. I know... I know that many women have left their unions or see no point in joining. I do get that. But I have to say, as a trade unionist with now over 30 years' experience of activism within the NEU and previously the NUT, I can tell you it is possible to win change, and it is necessary that we do that. By organising with other women and men within the union, in the NEU, we have managed to use the rule book to challenge the union. We've used the union structures to change the rules, and we've made the rules and the union work better for women. Some examples, just to show you that I'm not making it up. Speakers at all NEU conferences are now ordered female, not female, ordering to a big increase in the number and diversity of all speakers, including women. All NEU delegations must comprise at least 50% women. The NEU Executive Committee must be comprised of at least 2/3 women. 66 of NEU workplace reps are women. Women are routinely centred in the making of policy and organising, and the union has excellent policy on sexual harassment, domestic violence, the menopause and abortion rights. These things are not perfect in the NEU. There are still many issues. There's a lot of work to be done, but it has come a long way since I started teaching back in 1993. And we have made that progress because women organised together to make a change. And that is really important. We cannot give up on our unions. We cannot give up on the Labour Party. People often say that we shouldn't trust political promises or leaders. I've heard it a lot. I've heard it a lot this week about, yeah, well, you can't believe them. You can't trust the word they say. And there is particularly widespread scepticism about Labour's position on sex and gender. And I understand that. That's understandable given recent history. But I say this. Politicians move because we make them. There will never be a time when we can say thank you very much and hand over the fight for women's rights to the politicians and leave them to it. We need to be involved at every level of the political scene, in our communities, in our workplaces, in our unions and our political parties. And to the Labour Party, the unions and the wider Labour movement, we say, we are your members. We are your activists. We are your allies. Do not try and shut us out. Do not try and shut us down. It will not work. We want to work with you. We want to work with you to make things better for women and girls. Work with us. Thank you.